Have you ever found yourself with an extra $100 and wondered, how can I turn this into $1,000, $100,000, or even $1,000,000? It's a tantalizing thought, right? And unfortunately, they don't teach this in school, which is criminal in my opinion. I mean, just imagine how helpful that would be. Since many of us aren't taught the basics of investing, it can seem a bit daunting at first, especially for beginners. But don't worry, I'm here to break it down for you right now. So let's start with a simple fact. I began my journey to becoming financially free by the time I was 37, starting with practically nothing. All right, let's call it $100, right? Yes, you heard that right. By taking calculated risks, working hard, and understanding the investment landscape, anyone can do the same and grow their wealth over time. I mean, anyone. That's my guarantee to you, and that's what this video is all about. I mean, if you saw my test scores and my grades, you would think to yourself, this guy is destined for financial failure. The fact that I wrote an international best-selling book on my own would make my English teachers laugh. So going back to the money, we all have different levels of comfort when it comes to risk. So I'm going to walk you through some beginner-friendly investment options that start with just $100. Remember, with greater risk comes potential for greater reward. So I've got a variety of ideas that you can implement immediately to start putting money back in your pocket. And these are my best practices that I've accumulated over the last 28 years, 29 now, helping thousands of people of all walks of life, young, old, rich, poor, male, female, and all in between. So I guarantee you this video is going to have a huge impact if you follow it. And by the way, if you want a brief overview of the 60-minute cash flow and wealth building strategy that I teach, which is a proven and effective process that generates cash flow on every single trade while building wealth, you can check out the link in the description, which, by the way, is go.johnmacgregor.net. Go.johnmacgregor.net. It's definitely worth a look. All right, so let's get into it. As I tell most people, your goal should be to generate at a minimum $1,000 per month as a side hustle on top of your current income. $1,000. And today, given the smartphone that you have in your hand and all the tools and software available that I never had, $1,000 a month should be a walk in the park. Heck, I became financially independent at a very young age, 37, and we didn't even have cell phones or even the internet. So $1,000 a month should be something you can do in your sleep. But here's the key. The key to all of this, the key to anyone's success and wealth boils down to one thing. One thing. Is it a priority? If it's a critical and imperative priority to you, as it was for me, it will happen for you as well. That I promise. And if you're looking to make this happen overnight, or if you don't have the will or the commitment, forget about it. If you're trying to get rich quick, you might as well buy a lottery ticket. I'm telling you, you're going to end up through life. If you're trying to make this happen overnight, or if you don't have the will or the commitment, forget about it. If you're trying to get rich quick, you may as well buy a lottery ticket. You're going to end up going through life constantly struggling and constantly stressed about money. But I'm telling you, you have the power right now to completely transform your financial life. I don't care what your education is. I don't care what your financial level of literacy is. The question you need to really drill down, it's the most important question, is how big of a priority is it to you? And with the right tools, which you have, you can do a lot. You can do it a lot quicker than most people. When I had my aha moment when I was 21 years old, mowing a lawn in the middle of the summer, it's the first story in my book. That moment completely transformed the trajectory of my life. I was mowing a yard, complete game changer. And at that moment, I became laser focused on my goal of becoming financially free by the time I was 40. And as I said, I hit my mark at 37 because I made it the most important thing that I was committed to. Lastly on this, having worked with and mentored thousands of people of all walks of life, the worst conversation I have to have or have had when someone who's 65 years old and walks into my office and says, John, I'm ready to retire. I've worked my tail off for 35 years and now I want to sail off into the sunset and enjoy my retirement. Fair enough, right? And then they lay out their financial documents and I can tell immediately there is absolutely no way this person or this couple is going to be able to retire when and how they want to. It's a horrible conversation for all of us. I guarantee, I promise you, this is not the same conversation you want to have at that stage in your life. So let's get into my thoughts on how you journey to unlimited wealth and success. And it's not complicated, folks. The first and most obvious is just cash management. Stop wasting money on things you don't need. Remember, those things are not a priority right now. Your financial future is. Save those things for a later date. Not saying that you need to scrimp and save and sacrifice, because I certainly didn't. All I'm saying is to be smart with your money and stop wasting it on things you do not need just to impress other people or just for a temporary feeling of satisfaction. It won't last long. Trust me. On that note, you got to drop your time on social media. You're just wasting valuable time that you could be putting towards making money. You should actually check your smartphone. It'll tell you how much time you're spending on social media. It'll show you. And if you're over an hour a day, you're killing yourself financially, killing yourself. All right, with that being said, you got to go through all of your expenditures and find out what's a want versus a need. Huge difference. The things you need to spend money on should account for 50% of your total take-home budget. The things that you like or you want, like entertainment and restaurants, should be 30% of your budget, and 20% should go towards long-term financial planning. In other words, your retirement, your future. And some of that could go towards investing in yourself, which is extremely important. All right, so that's the 50, 30, 20 budget rule. So make it a priority to go through all your expenses and find out where you are relative to your 50, 30, 20 budget rule. And if they're out of alignment, which I'm almost certainly they are, as they are for so many people, you've got to make some serious decisions and some serious changes. And that could be downsizing, moving, selling that BMW that you do not need, whatever it is. And you'll thank me for this one day down the road. Now, you need to set up an automatic program so that as soon as your paycheck hits your account, 20% of that automatically goes to a special retirement fund. Automatically. I do not want you writing a check every 2 weeks. That will never happen and won't last. It's got to be done automatically. Then that money needs to be invested automatically, and I would simply put that into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. The S&P 500 index fund is a basket of the 500 largest companies in America. You're going to learn why in just a moment. And you're feeding that fund every single paycheck or every time money hits your account. 20% goes into that index fund. And in case you're not aware, and by the way, any other additional money, that side hustle, that $1,000 that you're going to make every single month, all of that should go into that S&P 500 index fund. And in case you're not aware, the average return in the overall stock market, in other words, that S&P 500 fund has produced a 10% average rate of return over time. That does not mean every 10% every year. What that means is if you smooth out all of the returns, the ups and the downs, it's been a 10% on average per year going back 100 years. So let's do some fun math here. And by the way, a great website for some very useful and practical financial calculators is dinkytown.net. dinkytown.net. Don't let the name fool you. If you're looking to buy a car or lease a car, you need a calculator for a loan, taxes, insurance, savings, mortgage, credit cards, or your business. It's all there at dinkytown.net. I use it all the time. So you've probably heard of the power of compounding interest or compounding rates of return on your money, right? And I use this example a lot, where there's a young couple at the age of 26 with a combined income of $120,000 per year. They're putting 15% of their salary into their 401k plan. And by the way, ignore the pundits when they say don't use a 401k or you're a fool, or they say 401ks are a scam, or whatever they like to say to make themselves look smart or be rebellious. Those people are idiots, and they have no experience in the investment world or the world of retirement planning. In all the years I've been working with thousands of individuals, I will say I've never heard somebody say, boy, I wish I put less into my 401k. No, 100% of the time it's, boy, I wish I started early putting more into my 401k. I will challenge anyone any day on that debate. In fact, it's not even a debate. So going back to the couple, they took 15% of their salary of $120,000, which means they were putting $18,000 per year into their plan, into their 401k plan, their workplace 401k plan. And by the way, they're getting a nice tax break for doing that as well. And they put that money into the S&P 500. So each person was putting $9,000 each. And by the way, if you can't do that on $120,000 per year, you are wasting and spending money on things that you do not need. Your rent is probably way too high, and you have too much of a car, and you're spending your money frivolously. Again, going back to that 50, 30, 20 rule. So they put that $18,000 into the S&P 500 consistently for the next 40 years until they retired at 66. By the time they retired, they would have $8.8 million. That's right, $8.8 million. Just think about what kind of retirement you could have on $8.8 million. But here it gets better. Now, remember, they put in $18,000 per year, but in most cases, the employer matched as well. So let's add another $4,000 to that annual contribution, making their total contribution $22,000 per year that they are contributing. Now we're looking at $10.7 million at retirement. I mean, you think you could have a nice retirement on that? Let me add on to that. In 2024, the maximum you can contribute to a 401k is $23,000 if you're under 50, or $30,500 if you're over 50. So let's say you contributed the $23,000, your employer added another $4,000 to that match. So now that you're contributing $27,000 going into your 401k every single year. Now you're looking at $13.2 million by the time you retire. Again, that's just income that you're earning. That does not include the side hustle money that you will be earning as well. That, folks, is the power of compounding. And by the way, dinkytown.net has compounding calculators, and they're a lot of fun to play with and see how much your money can grow. Now, on a side note, without getting too much in the weeds, what I would be doing is contributing to my 401k up until the maximum employer match and then stopping. From there, I would start feeding a Roth account and fill that bucket up. And once that bucket is full, I'd go back to the 401k and fill that up as much as possible. And I love the idea of having a Roth IRA because when you pull that money out down the road, it's not taxed. And this strategy using a Roth 401k combo gives you the exact same results as I just mentioned. So going back to Dinkytown, this is super, super important. There are two calculators that I'd like you to run immediately, and that's in the Retirement Savings and Planning tab. Click on that, and you'll see two calculators within that one being the Retirement Planning Calculator, and the other one being the Retirement Nest Egg Calculator. Each requires you to fill in, I think, 8 boxes. Much of it's the same information for each calculator. And this will tell you where you are relative to your retirement goals. And number 2, what you need to do if you're not on track. Very simple. Won't take you more than 5 minutes per calculator, but it gives you a really, really good idea of where you are. Because if you don't know where you are today financially, I promise you, you'll never get to where you want to be in the future. And you're going to end up as that 65-year-old couple or individual in my or someone else's office who just learned that they have to keep working or find a new job at retirement age. Trust me, that sucks. And I've seen it way too often. So those calculators are excellent. All right, so let's move on and let's talk about side hustles. There are millions of ways to make money on the side. As I said earlier, you should be generating at least $1,000 in extra income every single month, period. That should be your starting point, actually. And there are all kinds of apps and services that you can be using. You could walk a dog and make a boatload of money every month. And of course, you've got the delivery services. In fact, we hire a dog walker when we are out of town twice a day. It's about $35 a pop. I mean, you've got 5 dogs during the week. I mean, easily hit your $1,000 goal. You have survey apps. You can make money playing games, doing reviews. And of course, you can do an affiliate program on Amazon or sell things on Shopify. You can find stuff at a garage sale to sell online. I mean, I wish I had these things available when I was younger. One that I did want to mention is an app called Acorn, where you connect your credit card to this app. And every time you spend on your credit card, it'll round up to the highest dollar and take that spare change and invest it for you, typically in an S&P 500 fund. And I recently talked about this in my podcast because I set this up about a year ago and I completely forgot about it. And I got an email from them and it reminded me that I had this account. So I finally decided to check my account to see. My surprise, I had $2,000 sitting there that I didn't know I had. It was like free money. So that's a must. You've got to do. And if you have kids, it's a great way to teach them about saving and investing. Okay, that's side hustles. And everyone watching this, please embrace at least one side hustle to, again, how much? $1,000 per month minimum. Oh, and let me also add, now with ChatGPT, it's so easy to write books, start a blog, write an instruction manual, a children's coloring book, create a date planner, and sell it on Amazon. Check out what's selling, what's hot, and just replicate it. Of course, you can always make it better, which makes your product worth even more. I sell multiple courses online, and I'll tell you, there is no better feeling than waking up, checking my email, and seeing that I have 10 new students. In other words, I'm making money while I sleep. And those courses will be out there forever, and it costs me nothing. other than my time to create it. And everyone, I know you have a skill that somebody else wants. So please get out there and teach it. Another thing to do is check out Upwork, which is a great platform for people selling their expertise or anything else that they could offer, a service, for example. I use it all the time when I'm looking to hire somebody for a specific task, creating a logo, doing some writing for me, a website, all kinds of things. In fact, I hired a guy, in this case, it was on Fiverr.com. It's a cheaper option. I got him to dress up like Marilyn Monroe and sing happy birthday to a friend of mine. It was hilarious. I paid him $40 and it took him 3 minutes to do it. And on his profile, he had thousands of customers that paid him good money to sing some goofy songs. If you're a hobbyist or just know a lot about a particular item, buying and selling things like collectibles or sports equipment could be a very lucrative venture. I mean, it requires some expertise to identify valuable items at a bargain, but the payoff can be huge if you know your stuff. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is real estate. And there are a million ways to get into real estate, and you do not need money to do it. You need to check out my friend's YouTube channel, Ken McElroy, and he'll show you exactly how to do it using other people's money. Real estate is great for building wealth, creating cash flow, and saving a boatload in taxes. And I could spend 2 days talking about real estate. My point here is I just want to plant the seed that real estate is a great way to go. In fact, I know people that are renting houses and then putting them on Airbnb to sub-rent them out for people on vacation. I mean, there are a million ways to do this. I have a friend who started a camping van business. He'll buy a camping van, fully furnish it, and then rent them out to people looking to go camping for a few days. His goal is to have a fleet of these, and the cash flow is incredible. For those who like the idea of real estate but aren't ready to buy property, a real estate investment trust might be the ticket, or we call it a REIT. Investing in a REIT, an REIT, is like owning a piece of a range of properties, a basket of properties, without the hassle of managing them. They pay out nice dividends from the income earned through the properties, and historically, they provided excellent returns. But make sure you do your homework. So going back to cash, the other thing you need to do is utilize high interest-bearing money markets for your cash. If you're not, you're leaving money on the table. Right now, you can find some that are paying very high interest on just idle cash. I do a lot of my banking at Charles Schwab, and right now their money markets, which are totally liquid, completely liquid, are paying about 5%. And that 5% can add up over time. And I'm certain there are other banks, including online banks, that offer even higher interest rates on your cash. But if you've got some cash that you can tie up for a little bit, check out U.S. Treasuries. With interest rates where they are and likely rising, you can lock in a very nice interest rate, but I would not go further out than 2 years in maturity. For those who enjoy a little bit of thrill, investing in individual stocks might be the way to go. Picking the right stocks with the right system can be highly rewarded. I mean, just think about the tech boom. Many who invested wisely and still are turned a modest sum into fortunes. And now we have AI, which is creating a huge boom for many publicly traded companies that personally I've done extremely well in. Once I own these stocks, I use a simple, proven, and very effective strategy where I use a system to identify these high winning probability stocks, and then I sell options on those stocks to generate instant income on every single trade. That way I'm capturing income off the options, and then I'm capturing profits off the growth of that stock. I also sell options on stocks I do not own, and again, generate instant income on every single trade. It's actually quite easy. It's fun, easy, and it's very lucrative. And by the way, it's the exact same strategy my 93-year-old father uses to generate $15,000 to $20,000 per month as a hobby, and he's been doing it consistently for the past 13 years now. In fact, in the month of February and March of this year, he made $40,000 each month doing this exact same strategy. And of course, I use the same strategy myself very successfully. Okay, then we have cryptocurrency, a high risk, high reward game. It's not for the faint of heart, but investing a small disposable amount in something like Bitcoin can yield significant returns. Just remember, it's highly volatile, so best approached with caution. The other thing I like right now are commodities. These are the foundations of society, what most products are built on. These are things that are grown in the ground or mined. And I love silver right now. Check out a video that I recently did all about silver and why I like silver more so than I like gold. And I still like gold, but I think silver offers way more value at a much cheaper price. All right, so let's wrap it up there. My point is that there are so many ways to make a considerable amount of money today more than ever. If you start now, you stick with it, you could be a multi-millionaire fairly quickly. It all boils down to whether or not, that's right, is it a priority? And you need to start asking yourself this question when you're about to make a purchase of any size. Is this purchase or expenditure in line with my financial goals or in line with my priorities? Another way of asking this is this expenditure that I'm about to make pushing me closer to or pulling me further away from my financial goals or my financial priorities? And this question, the more you ask it, will become embedded in your subconscious mind, and you won't even have to think about it going forward. And your decisions that are in line with your future financial desires and dreams and goals will become automatic. That's the power of those questions. And if you follow my advice in this video, I promise you, you're going to have an extremely fruitful and rewarding life, void of a lot of the stress and anxiety that millions of people have today as a result of their financial situation. If you have any other suggestions on wealth building, cash generating tips, please share them in the comments below, and let's all help each other. With that, we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.